Hello, welcome to LLG's Random But Real. My name is Lisa L. Gilliam, and I am the host of this podcast, where we have conversations about any and all things random with an entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. I use my performance, communication, and literary art skills to bring awareness about mental health and other topics. Therefore, whether I am singing, speaking, or writing, it is my desire that my words will be melodic, just like music, to your ears. Please note, the comments expressed in this podcast are those of mine and or the guests. They are not intended to be used for professional guidance. Please seek a licensed professional if you are in need of care or therapy, experiencing trauma, or are in danger. And if in danger, please call 911. Thank you in advance for listening to LLG's Random But Real. I hope you enjoy this podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of LLG's Random But Real. I'm your host, Lisa, One Singing Lady Gilliam, or Lisa Gilliam, otherwise known as One Singing Lady. We have conversations about any and all things random with an entree, not a side dish, of mental health advocacy. And as you all know, mental health affects every aspect of your life. Today, I have Troy Holt of Troy Holt Consulting. Say hello to the people, Troy.
Hello, everyone.
We met, I don't even know how long ago we met. I know Sharon introduced us. Do you remember how long it's been?
Yeah, that was probably early, like 2000, between 2003, 4, 5, somewhere around in there.
I think I know I was going to go get my doctorate, and Davey and Sharon rode with me. So I had to admit that was 2004 when the CD was released, because I had to come back early for that. So it was 2002, 2003. You're right. Good memory. That was a long time ago.
Yes.
And I think she had like a networking event or something like that, and we met. I don't remember that part, but we have kept in touch on social media.
Yes, we have. We definitely have. Yes.
Since that time, and I see that you are doing a lot of things. So I'm going to let you tell the people what you focus on, and then we'll get into a conversation.
Okay, sure. So thank you, Lisa. Again, thank you for the opportunity to come and join and be a part. I'm truly honored to be here. For those that don't know, my name is Troy. I own a company called Troy Holt Consulting. I'm the CEO. The CEO stands for Chief Encouragement Officer. My title is my personality. I am a certified financial educator. I am truly on a mission to help eliminate financial illiteracy. I'm also a podcast host myself, and I'm also a mortgage loan officer. So I have I got other hats, but that's what, just want to keep those few right there. But again, Lisa, thank you for the opportunity.
No, thank you for being here. Like I said, a lot of people may not think about mental health and finances. I don't know why, because honestly, at some of my darkest moments, it was when I didn't have the finances that I wanted to, or was in debt, or, that type of things. I can clearly say, or gladly say, that I was one of those however many thousands or 100,000 of people that got their student loans forgiven through the PSLF waiver, waiver that they had through Biden's administration, and that was $124,750 and some cents. So I'm very grateful for public service loan forgiveness. I'm so if I say LF or FL, but it's loan forgiveness waiver, and a lot of people didn't take advantage of that. And now you see we're at this place where they're not able to get the other payments taken care of, the 20,000 or the 10,000 if you got the Pell Grant, et cetera. What's your take on that? Being, a financial literacy coach, like, what do you think about that whole process and student loans and people that just trying to get out of debt?
Well, let's tackle the student loan. So I have mixed emotions about student loan.
Okay.
And so the mixed emotion is, number one is, if it's forgiveness, then someone is going to have to pay for it, and it's going to be the taxpayers who eventually is going to have to pay for it.
Okay.
I get that. I think people should be responsible for debt that they incur. Okay, so I say I got mixed emotions, so it's two sides to this.
All right.
On the flip side of that, the schools have increased tuition dramatically over the years. It's many of these schools, a lot of the big schools have the sports, and they make all kinds of revenue from different areas. So the school is not necessarily hurting for money, but I think what the big problem is that people don't talk about, because you got people that argues, hey, well, I paid for my student loans. Well, that was back in the 60s. And what people don't realize also is that student loans, Americans were allowed to get an education, go to college for free. However, when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California, he started implementing changes because the civil rights movement, and people started going to these colleges. And so therefore, they call them, I think the term they call them, we don't want these deplorables. I think it was a term to have access to a college education. So then what they did was they knew us as African Americans didn't have a lot of money. So then they started charging, making it a cost to make it harder for people to go. So America has that history of dealing with marginalized folk many times. But also the big issue that I have, I think the biggest issue that I have with student loan debt, it's really on the defense of predatory lending, because people never get to pay the loan off. It just continue to accrue interest. I believe if we stop that part, people will be able to go to college and still get a loan and be able to pay the loan off. But I think it's the accrued interest that keeps people in bondage. That's the big issue, and that's not being addressed. I hope that was, I didn't go off on a tangent with that.
No, that's fine. I think that's interesting. So I have a twofold approach. One, because I did give my service. Like, I've been working in counseling or education pretty much my whole adult life. And like I just said, 124,000. And that part of that was actually the doctorate that I did not finish. Most of it was my master's degree, which my school at the time was $600 some per credit hour.
Oh, wow.
This is for a master's degree. It was 48 credits. I'll tell you, George Washington University. Then I went to a private HBCU, Virginia Union, which I loved, but because it was private, it was super expensive back then. Maybe $10,000 at that time. I graduated in the 90s, y'all. I know I'm so young, right? But that was still a lot then. You know, like you said, universities, colleges are so much more expensive. But I do believe, even as a vocalist and a writer and an author, I do still believe in barter and trading. And so for me, I look at, like, I have served my time. I have given of myself to so many people, students, parents. I've worked with every population. I mean, as far as age group from childhood until elder care, and serving, giving. We don't make that much money. So until even up to this year, I've never made half of what I owed in my student loans.
Yeah.
Never. And so you're right. You don't pay it. But it wasn't for interest for me, because the interest rate on my student loan was cheaper than that of my car, or, you know, whatever else I'm getting. So I see your points. I think that they are definitely valid points. I definitely think it is a continual cycle or circle. Or maybe a continuation of circle and a cycle. And I do think that something needs to be done. But I also believe, to me, I feel like I barter and traded in the sense that I have given my service, and that's why they created it. Teachers get different types of breaks. And at one point, I remember writing, I don't know if President Obama ever received my letter, but I was like, I work in the same system as teachers, but because I'm a counselor, I can't get credit just like a teacher can get. I felt like that was super unfair. And so I was glad when they opened it up for counselors to be able to get funding and pay it back too. We make probably a third of what most people make and do so much more work, you know what I'm saying, on a daily basis, because our jobs don't stop at the school, unfortunately. Not because we don't want to, but because we have phone calls to make and emails to make. And, every year they're asking for different things, but that's just that profession. I can't target those two, teaching and also counseling. I can't really speak on all of the others, but I definitely think that that's a valid point. And I'm not opposed. Like, I was paying my loans. I wasn't in default or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you, having that $100,000 taken away has helped me focus on the other debts, which is only like, I don't have a lot of credit card debt, but also my vehicle. And I've struggled. You try making less than 60,000 living in the DMV area, you might struggle too. And unfortunately, I know I'm not the only one, but a lot of people are dealing with like the 2-parent incomes, et cetera. But needs to say, I thank you for that point. So, like, what do you feel is the biggest hurdle that you see, regardless of population or or minority or whatever, that people have when it comes to, I'll say, hurdle or mental obstacle when it comes to financial literacy?
The biggest mental, I guess what I see a lot is well, first of all, one of the things I encourage people to do, small thing, is to pay themselves first.
Okay.
So I tell people like this, small principle, me being a man of faith, a believer, so God gets his first, and then I pay myself, and then everything else gets paid.
And by that, if I ask questions, I want to make sure, because everybody doesn't understand that. So you're talking about tithing, giving 10% of your gross income?
Correct.
Is that what you're speaking of?
Yeah,
okay.
Tithing and offering. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And
got it.
So, and then I pay myself. And so one of the things is people don't do that. They don't pay themselves first. Now, we talking about mental health. This is a mental exercise. So someone may say, well, how much should I pay myself? Should I pay myself 1%? Should I pay myself 10%? Should I pay myself $1? Should I pay myself $10? It doesn't matter. It's the mindset and the discipline to start. So you have to start somewhere. So what I found is that people don't do that. And once you do that, it becomes ingrained in you. It becomes a discipline. It becomes a habit. And you can do it automatic now. You can have it a separate account and have it coming out direct deposit. And I remember Lisa, for a number of years I was doing that. My wife and I, we was paying ourselves when we was doing that, but within the month we would have to use the money,
right?
Because it wasn't enough,
right?
But it's the discipline. So we got to the point that every time we do that, we're going to pay ourselves. We're going to put some money aside because it's needed. And so this is one of the things that I try to get people, because if you can't put away $1, you definitely can't put away $10. So the amount is not important. It is the mindset and the discipline of starting to pay yourself first, set aside a little here, and then eventually the seed will grow into a harvest, and then you'll graduate to $10, then to $100, because you discipline yourself to do that. And I think if we shift our mindset and start doing that, then we can. I'm not saying that's just the only thing, but that's a thing that a person can start with. And you feel good. You got you got $20 in the account. You got $50 in the account. No one. We talk about mental health. I mean, when you don't have no money in your pocket, you feel bad.
You don't feel too right. Exactly. I think you make some really valid points. I remember when, like I just said, and I always use myself as an example. I don't try to do anything or say anything that I wouldn't expect other people to try to do. And so, although I'm an adult, I'm 50 years old. I just turned 50 in May. I always had a roommate. Just moved on my own last year. It's been a year. And when I look back, Troy, and I was just like, wow, I actually paid the rent like one time. for a whole year. I never made though as much as I did then. And I just told you I didn't make a lot.
Right.
Well, maybe some people think that less than 60 is a lot, but
It's not.
I don't. When I started, I was making less than 50. So like you just imagine the 40s up here in this area, it makes it extremely hard. So I still consider myself, I said I wasn't going to say I'm struggling. I'm still not out the woods yet. I don't make enough to pay all my bills on one. And as much as I cannot stand credit card debt, I'm also very grateful that I was able to get one. And at one point I was able to pay it every month. Right now, I'm just like, that is my groceries. That is and I wouldn't encourage anybody to do that. But I see myself out because what you said was so important. I actually do pay myself first. It may only be $20. It might only be 50. Sometimes it was 2 or 10, like you said, but just the practice of it. And one of my friends from junior high school, play brother, he was like, just try with 25. But at that time, I didn't even have an extra 25. So it makes it so hard. So I think the mindset shift, like what you said, even if you don't have the 20, start with the 2 or start with the 10, like start with something somewhere. Right. And then it'll grow, you know what I mean? And it may not be, I don't know if you ever felt like this. Like I would be so excited that I got to save. Like one time I was taking the Dave Ramsey, financial. I can't think of the program, but I was taking it with my church at the time, and I finally got to save like $300. And this was some years ago, so thank God it wasn't recent. But then I had some type of medical issue, and I had to use the savings that I had saved. Now I saved it for a rainy day or for an emergency, and I had the money there for emergency, but I was so sad that I had to go into the savings, and so I had to even change my mindset around that. But Lisa, you had it. You didn't have to get into further debt because of it. And I know that right now that, credit card situation is temporary. I like my rewards points, right? And I know people have mixed feelings about that, but I'm going to get back to the place where I pay it off every month because I don't like to have debt lingering over me at all. And this is a good segue because I don't have a home yet. I don't know if I'm gonna stay in the area or relocate. I was supposed to relocate last year to the West Coast, to Seattle, and change my mind because they wanted me to pay my own debt to move, or I was going to be responsible for moving costs. And I just didn't think that was, a great way, to spend my money. So what would you say to people who are having difficulty saving? They pay their rent. They're able to do that. And sometimes mortgages are cheaper, but you also have more expenses sometimes because you have to do upkeep. What would you say to those people who want to purchase a home? Like, how can they get started with saving since you're actually dealing with, mortgage lending, et cetera, too?
So one of the things that I do, they can contact me, and I'm not just putting a plug. I'm really.
Oh no, we're gonna definitely plug you. This show is all about networking, so don't worry. We're gonna get your information and put that out there.
So one of the things that I teach is the 7 money milestones. The 7 money milestones is a blueprint to get people to create wealth, generational wealth, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. So milestone number 1 is for people to get a financial education. They can start by reading books, YouTube, but be careful because there's a lot of misinformation out there and disinformation out there. So you have to be careful, but start. But one of the main start is sitting down with a financial professional that they trust. So that's the first step. The second step is proper protection. Proper protection is a person is making sure that in the event of their passing or disability, they're protected. They got covered. They have life insurance and or disability insurance. So
can you just say a little bit of time on that? Because I hate to say it, so many of my friends, and honestly, it wasn't until my mom's death, and that would be 6 years in October, that I got my stuff in order. Like, making sure I can't afford a lot of coverage. I'm gonna be honest. But my family will have enough to bury me and maybe a little bit left over in their pocket.
And that's
I don't have any children. I'm not married. I don't have, what I'm saying? It's a little different, but so many people leave people with the debt and the decisions. They don't have an advanced directive living will, like none of that stuff. So could you just spend a little bit of time on that since you brought it up?
Let me get through the
okay,
milestone. Then I'll circle back to that. Milestone number 3 is an emergency fund. Part of that paying yourself is building an emergency fund.
Should that be separate?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 4 is debt management, managing and controlling debt. Number 5 is cash flow. Cash flow could be a number of things, starting a side hustle, side gig, changing jobs to get more money, cutting back on expenses, adjusting your W-2 instead of getting a $6,000 income tax, get a $1,000 income tax, making adjustments there. Number 6 is building wealth, where we start looking at ways to really build and compound wealth. And then number 7 is something you mentioned, is protecting wealth. That's wills, trust, healthcare, power of attorney, all these different particular documents. We see right now that Aretha Franklin's sons are having an issue because the estate plan was not put in place. So doing all these things, putting these things in place. Now, let me go back to milestone number 2. So I tell people like this, which one is easier? And I'm just throwing a number out here, so it could be more or less for somebody. But which one is easier to come up with? $50 or $15,000?
Right. Definitely
50. Right. Definitely 50. So most people, and I'm just throwing a number, like I said, could be more or less. $50 a month, if they get a protection, $50 a month, it's easier to come up with than $15,000. The family got to come up with $15,000 for a barrier. And so it's trying to get people the mindset of change. Many people think that they can't afford. Many times a person, probably I would say about 95% of the people can get insured. It's about the other 5% for various reasons. Either they're uninsurable, they may have some type of health condition, or maybe weight or things like that. But there is a such thing as guaranteed issue, where they don't ask any medical questions. They will give you the insurance. However, if you pass within 2 years, you only, if you pass of a sickness or illness, the beneficiary will only get 10% plus premiums. After 2 years, they'll get the full death benefit. Now, if they die of an accident, they will get the death benefit. But guaranteed issue is normally for people age 50 to 80. So you have somebody who's 49 who has health, can't get insurance. There's no guaranteed issue for younger. So almost 95% of the people probably could get something. Is people willing to make it a priority, because they're going to be a burden on the family. Who wants to do a GoFundMe? Who wants to do those type things? And so it's important that people, to put this in place. Now, when is the best time to buy life insurance? Is a question. Is when you don't. It's a rhetorical question.
Okay, guys. I was like, I didn't know if you were asking. Okay, go on.
The best time to buy life insurance is when you don't need it. Because you can afford it and you're insurable. The best time to buy a car is when you don't need it, because you can walk out of the dealership if they don't give you the price that you want. But now if you need that car,
you're going to do anything.
Right. And they're going to lock you in. You're going to pay more money. So the best time to buy the life insurance is when you don't need it.
Okay. Great points. So knowledgeable, Troy. I do read, I don't get to see a lot of things on Facebook, but at time to time I am able to read, what you post there. And so we definitely want, like I said before, we finish this show, for you to leave your contact information. And then for the listeners, these are our views. Like, don't try to sue me for this information. It's information. And even though I do know, Troy, do your own research. I would say that even about things that I say as well. It took a minute, like I said, for me to actually take the time to find out, to do research, to get things in order. And even with, the situation financially that I'm in, I still have those things in order. There are so many different programs or different things that you can do. Sometimes legal aid will do that stuff, like will and stuff for you for free. I went through Legal Shield, which, yes, I pay a monthly rate, but every year I have the opportunity to update my will, my advance directive, and it's a part of the fee that I pay, and then also having a business or just being a author. I'm a co-author, and so I need to make sure that was taken care of. I sing, I have, royalties. Now I'm not making Prince money, right? But but I don't want it to be an issue when I die. I want my family to retain all the rights to the songs that I've written in my publishing and my performances. And so if I wanted that to be the case, and I wanted to make sure my co-writer had her stuff and I had mine. So all of that is, in the will, so I think it's really important. I think that that's also a mind shift too. I think that people don't want to deal with death, but it's one thing that we know we have to do. I mean, outside, they say that in Texas, right? We know we're going to die at some point. So why, not move forward with that process? Why not have that in place for your family? Because we don't live forever. And I don't know if you're like me, Troy, but a lot of my friends are dying before the age of 50. Everybody didn't make it to this year, for me. And so, I'm grateful, definitely grateful for that. Sorry about that, y'all. If y'all heard that, it's my alarm, and we pre-record, so hopefully it won't go off again. Nevertheless, it's random but real. We talked about that too. So we don't do any editing on this show, and we say, and what we don't, and we try to keep it honest, because I do feel like life is random, and in the sense, yes, you can be specific, but random things happen, I should say, in life. And so we keep it real on here.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that. My podcast, I don't do edit. I do record it. It's pre-recorded on Zoom, but I don't do any editing. If I had to edit, then it would be more work, and it probably wouldn't get out.
Absolutely. I don't have the time, honestly. Like, I didn't know I was going to go through this. This is my third season, but before that, I think I did 2 or 3 seasons on YouTube Live. Well, I did it through StreamYard, and then we put it on YouTube and all those other platforms. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but I just, this is me. So questions I have, and questions I don't. And if I'm not interested in something, it kind of comes through. And if I am, but I think that this is a really important topic, one I wish more families would have the conversation about, but also singles. I think people that aren't attached to anyone, they also don't necessarily have their affairs in order. Do you find that? Like,
yeah, I do. And singles, even if it's a person single, if they don't have children, they don't have a spouse, they still have family members, and someone's going to be responsible for them in the event, if they're passing. Do they have assets? Do they have property?
Right.
So if nothing is put in, even though they're single, and here's the bottom line: we don't want the government in our business.
Right.
We don't want the government in our business at all. So you got 2 options. Either you have the government in your business or you don't. And if you have a will, then the government is not in your business. But if you don't have a will, then the government dictates to by law where things go. And so if you want to keep the government out, make sure you have a will.
Right. And it's such a simple process. Like, you don't have to do all of the heavy lifting yourself. Like, they even have them online where you can at least print them down and then take them someplace to have them read over. Like I said, Legal Shield does it. I didn't have to do it online. You just tell them what you need. You fill out a questionnaire. But there are other, I've seen, especially for like the elderly, I've seen, some type of will assistance. You know what I mean? I've seen those type of workshops and things like that. I just became an AARP member, and I'm super excited about that. I took my first Pilates class last week and took the second one this week. But they also have different types of webinars and seminars. When I grew up, we didn't have internet.
Right. True. Yeah.
We didn't have access to Google and all of the things we have now. So I don't understand why people are so stuck with doing what they used to do. And they've seen the devastation in their families. Yep. They've seen what not having a will has been, or having to go to probate court. Been through all that. My one family member didn't have insurance, and my family had to come up with, I was a child at the time, had to come up with, money to bury him, like you just said. And then another one did have things, but didn't have a will. And so they had to deal with probate, and just, court is expensive.
It is. It really is.
And so if you had to give like one point that was like the only thing you could say about like the whole finances or mortgage or what all the plethora of things you do, what would be like one, maybe two main points that you would tell people or share with people?
The first one that I said earlier, pay yourself first. It's simple, and then the other thing is to I learned this the hard way by personal experience, and it's a biblical principle. And the best time to put away money is when it's flowing, when the sun is shining.
Mm.
And it's a biblical principle. Remember the story of Joseph, and Pharaoh had a dream, and Joseph went and interpreted the dream. And the dream was there was going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. During the 7 years of plenty, they were to store up because it's going to be 7 years of famine. What we tend to do when it's flowing, the sun is shining, we spend. Oh, I got all this money, coming in, stuff like that, And so, we say, we sing the song, I'm so glad trouble don't last always.
Right.
It's true. And I'm gonna flip it. Nor do good times. Also.
True.
And so there's gonna come a time there you're gonna have some rainy days or some time, but then that's the time to spend. That's why investors and people, they take advantage of situation opportunities, because when everybody else is spending, then they're just throwing up and saving. And we should do the opposite. We should store up and save when it's flowing. And like I said, I learned from this when I was in a wireless industry, and I was getting big fat commission checks, $3,000 and $4,000 a month commission checks. And I'm thinking this gonna last forever. And then it's the market start getting saturated, and it start getting a struggle, and you barely see $1,000, and
right.
And change. And so it taught me, so when it's flowing in cash, put it away. And then when it's time, when something happens, when everybody else is struggling, hey, you stop. Oh, you want to sell that? Oh, I'll buy that. You're gonna get it cheap,
Right.
They're trying to get rid of it. So
how long did it take you to get to this place of wisdom?
56 years.
Still growing, huh?
Yes. And I never know it all, and never always learning and growing.
Awesome. So how can people get in touch with you, Troy?
They can find me on social media, LinkedIn. I'm heavily on LinkedIn, so they can find me on LinkedIn. They also can go to my website. It's troyholt.com. That's my name, TROYHOLT.com, or LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but I'm heavily on LinkedIn, and also my website. It's probably two of the best ways.
Okay. Do you have the links on your website to the social media pages?
Yes, they are. They can click on the social media from my website. Yes.
Okay. Just to make sure that sometimes that's easier for people to go to one spot. Okay. And that's awesome. So I hope that you all were listening. I hope that you gleaned something about financial literacy and understanding there is a connection between that and your mental health. Although a lot of people, like I said, I don't think they think about that. But like you said earlier, when you don't have any money, you're not in a good headspace.
True.
I can testify to that one. It feels so much better when you're able to, whether you snowball in your debt, whether I don't know, a lot of people do that. They get, even when they do get money, you're right, they just spend it.
Yeah.
No, save some of that. At least save a portion of it. Spend some, but save some. And, just because you never know, you're right. You never know, especially now. Like, do you remember how much those eggs were just a couple of weeks ago? Like,
yeah.
I was like, I'm not paying $6 or no $8 for egg. I can go without an egg, but sometimes, if a recipe calls for it, you really need it, or you really just want a deviled egg, or you want some scrambled eggs, you're willing to do what you need to do. I'm glad that it went down, but that's also happened with gas and a whole lot of other things. And so, I think the pandemic taught us a lot too, or at least it taught me a lot. You know what I mean? And so I'm hoping that we are heeding the lessons from what's happening out there instead of just going ahead and jumping in and doing whatever we want to do. if do you have any final remarks?
Yes, my final remarks is remember, debt is a big, huge thing in America. We talk about mental health. Debt will cause stress. It will cause anxiety. And if you can, however you can, get from under the load of debt.
Yes.
It will really help. I can help some with debt. I can show people how to get out of debt in 9 years or less, including their mortgage. That is a strategy. It's not for everybody, but I can help people with that. But just remember, mental health. I've been where I had a lot of debt and bill collectors calling and you're stressed out. You don't know how you're gonna get it paid and get done. Me and my wife say this, and I'll let you go. Me and my wife have almost had every financial situation you can think of, from foreclosure, repossession to garnishment to bankruptcy. We've had it all. So I got some experience there.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you all made it out. Thank you so much for being a part, Troy. And then make sure you all go to visit troyholt.com, and I'll put that in the tagline for the podcast. And if you want to follow me, please follow me, or I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, One Singing Lady. Or you can look up Lisa L. Gilliam on YouTube. One Singing Lady is spelled out ONESINGLADY. The other ones are the numeral one. And my website is lisalgilliam.com. I hope that you'll go on there and purchase my music or my book, 21 Days, co-written with Tracy M. Worley, about relationships. And this is me. I'm definitely going to keep it random but real. I can tell y'all, if you read the book, you learn a lot about me, whether you want to or not. And but I'm thankful for every part of my journey, good, bad, and indifferent. Whether it's because of a good choice or a bad choice, sin or not sin, I thank God for every door and opportunity He's opened up for me, and the grace and mercy He's given me to continue on in spite and despite of. So I've been in some of the situations you talked about, Troy, as well. And yeah, it's a lot easier on the other side. Yep. So thank God for His grace, and
Amen.
that He never leaves us nor forsakes us. But thank you so much for being a guest on the show or podcast. And I look forward to hearing from you again soon.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody, have a great day. And I'll let you know when this is going to air, Troy.
Okay.
Have a good one. Lisa, One Singing Lady, Gilliam out.